Hello, everybody, and welcome to Coffee Class with Young Screenwriters. We are an online community and resource for up-and-coming screenwriters. And I know that's the tagline.
Oh, God.
John, she said it last time. We walked right all over her.
We are professional, profesh, as they say.
That's what they say.
They don't say that.
They do. Depends on which
somewhere they say that.
Some people say.
I believe that somebody says that. But enough to qualify as the they.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that. You might not know that.
I have to work on my new backdrop that I brought all the way from Africa. I just thought everybody would get kicked. But anyway, that would be.
I was going to share it with people, but I forgot.
What week are we in?
This is 40.
40. Wow.
Yeah, this is 40.
God.
Yep. Isn't that weird?
Wow.
That is weird.
It's a lot of time I've spent.
And it's seriously,
weeks,
and only you and Adam have gotten older. I've just stayed the same. It's kind of curious. It's odd. I don't know. I understand.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
That's something like, maybe my math's wrong, but that's something like 60 hours of content.
That's a lot of time that we have spent
with
each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't realized that I spent that much time looking at your face, John.
You've wormed your way into my heart once more. And worm is the operative word there. Adam got upset about the hair comments, I guess.
Adam,
I am a bitter.
Did you get a haircut, Adam?
Yes, I did. Well, I had it cut, I should say.
Does that mean like your mom cut it?
I had a family member cut it. Yes, that's correct.
Oh,
gotcha.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I did that for Carl once. I felt very skilled. It took like 3 hours.
It's nerve-wracking.
It's a little scary.
Yeah,
but
especially when you're as vain as I am.
It looks good, I gotta say.
Thank you.
Yeah, you lucked out.
Yeah.
So, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? So I had seen this ages ago, and I remember really liking it a lot. I rewatched it today, actually, this morning, and I was blown away by the one-liners. Like, the dialogue was really good.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like a modern movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it was
a modern. It's funny. That's a funny.
Like in terms of like the length, like sometimes like a lot of film, like big Hollywood films from the 60s have this sort of like veneer of like how people are supposed to talk.
Oh.
This film felt very true.
Yeah.
To those people.
I feel that. Yeah, I feel like normally I think of Casablanca. And like they kind of had like the Atlantic like accent going, but they were saying things that were more like, I guess more natural is what I mean. You know, it's like when they have
you don't usually have passive aggressiveness in like golden era Hollywood. And this is like 2 hours of just passive aggressive, like trying to get in there. I don't know, what do you think, John?
Well, I mean, as you know, I love the play. I love the film. I rewatched it again the other day.
Hey,
Timer. Thank you, Adam. You know, it's just vocabulary, really. It's all we're trying to help you with. But
thank you.
Vocabulary. Edward Albee, and you guys hit it right on the head. I mean, the language is so rich, and he finds words. He just finds word pluck. You know, is a word that popped up. I mean, early, this place is a dump. She's playing off that. Just the language is beautiful, and also, let's face it.
Yeah.
Burton and Taylor and Siegel and Sandy Dennis, they're cooking. So I'll jump. We can all stay. Maybe I think because it's so untraditional, that maybe we all stay here and kick things around because I structurally there's not a lot of structure here,
No.
and I'll talk about that. Let me talk about that a little bit. So
here I'll let you do solo for a bit.
Okay, so Edward Albee wrote this play. Let me check my notes here. And well, the film came out in '66. Edward Albee, as many of you may or may not know, is a playwright, fantastic playwright, and so what comes with that is that you're freer as a storyteller. You do not have to adhere to 3-act structure in the way that we talk about it. And by the way, one of the reasons I chose this film, one of the reasons I chose this film is I think that I'm going to work at for my films, particularly in the next few weeks. I'm going to work at getting outside the box. This is week 40. It's appropriate maybe the 40th week that we start to get outside the box, or at least for my input in the films I choose. I'm gonna deviate from structure. We've talked a lot about structure. Everybody knows that I believe in structure. I think structure is a religion, particularly for screenwriters. This is a playwright. Edward Albee's playwright. It's a less structured, and one of the reasons for that is that the audience is different. And I welcome a lot of conversation today and questions and arguments and disagreements. But my approach to this is, and I'm certainly not a playwright, but the audience in the theater comes in, they paid a lot of money, and they're going to meet you more than halfway. They're going to work with you. The same could be said of a novel. You buy a novel, you're going to invest many hours in reading that novel. So the author has kind of a friendlier audience. The audience for a novel and for a play, although a little different, the audience is willing to meet you. We do not have, as screenwriters, you do not have that luxury. As screenwriters, the audience sits down, they pay, they got their popcorn, and they say, okay, hit me, bring it, entertain me. It's not as friendly an audience, and it's not an audience who's willing to meet you part of the way there. They're saying, you entertain me, or I will hate this movie, and I'll tell everybody I hate it. So Albee, the Ernest Lehman, who adapted it, great screenwriter, West Side Story, The Sound of Music, wrote a lot of great stuff. He stayed pretty close to Albee's play, and again, there's no real, in the way that we typically talk about it, the structure isn't that rock solid 3-act. Let me look at my notes. I mean, so Albee and playwrights in general, they play more with theme. For me, and it's been talked about if you read particularly about the play Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Albee's talking a lot about truth and illusion, and for me, as I'm watching, I've seen the film 6 times at least. I've seen the play a couple of times. I saw Bill Irwin and Kathleen Turner, brilliant in it. One of the things that I love about it, and it's kind of open to interpretation, and again, I want to hear from people. The beauty of what the story and Albee's theme is, he wants to expose the truth. It's truth and illusion, a lot of illusion, and I can't speak for Edward Albee, but what we do in our day-to-day lives, I think he would say it's a lot of illusion. It's a lot of putting up mirrors. It's a lot of putting up facades. It's a lot of perhaps lying about who we are, what we say, what we think. And this play is trying to strip it all away. Let me look at it. Oh, also, just I mean, if you look at the people that this is, believe it or not, this is Mike Nichols' directorial debut. This is the first film he directed. It's just, you know, it's hard to imagine that he had that kind of grasp on the material, and he did. He had Haskell Wexler as a DP. I think the film was gorgeous, but the way Nichols worked with the actors, and he and Wexler shot the film. The house, that cluttered, unkept house, doesn't feel like it's going to contain all of these people. It's claustrophobic, and all of that and everything else is lending itself to the conflict. There's so, I mean, from the get-go, she walks in, what a dump. I'm jumping around a little bit. Something you should know about Edward Albee. Edward Albee was born in 1928, and 2 weeks after his birth, he was placed up for adoption. Says a lot, you know. He was born, and his parents said, "We don't want him," and put him up for adoption. He was adopted by the Albee family, and they were, as Edward Albee said later, they were not equipped to be parents. I never felt comfortable with my adoptive parents. I don't think they knew how to be parents, and I probably didn't know how to be a son. And he left home when he was 18 because he said he had to get out of that environment. So Albee's no stranger to conflict in a home. As Adam and Alexie were talking a minute ago about the dialogue, this is Albee's choice of words for these characters. It just over and over again, something that you don't hear, and yet when you hear it, when Martha says, "I don't bray," I don't bray. I don't know about you, but bray is not a word that I hear that often. Martha uses it, and it doesn't sound like an affectation. It's true to her character. Another thing that we've talked about, and frequently people ask me how to create an authentic character. It feels like when you're watching this film that Albee has managed somehow to crawl into the skin of all of these characters. They're all unique. They all have their own unique and distinct voice. And it's clearly a combative atmosphere. So I'll even though it doesn't break the 3-act structure, I'm just going to talk a little bit about how it sets up. As soon as we meet them, as soon as we come into their world, this house, again, it's a stage play. So the leaving and getting in the car and going to the diner, those things, that didn't happen in the play. It was all contained in this house. They tried to open it up a little bit to going out to dance at the bar and things like that. But as soon as we enter the house, there's conflict. What a dump. And George says, she's discontent. So they're at each other. Albee's saying, one of the things that the writer's doing is he's saying, I'm not going to tell you everything. I'm going to leave it to you to understand and interpret. 15 minutes in, don't start with that bit. What's the bit? The sun. Don't talk about the sun. You know that's out of bounds. And we have guests coming. So that is going to, early on, page 16 or so, early on, they introduce 2 guests who are going to now shatter their world. We can imagine Martha and George in there every night. They come home, they drink, they probably don't eat, they drink. But now, infusing this home with Nick and Honey is going to dial everything up is going to dial everything up a lot. There's also wonderful comments or conversations about Daddy. Daddy's the president. George works under Daddy. George is unsuccessful. Daddy doesn't really approve or appreciate George. George might not have a job if it weren't for Daddy. So they're starting to bite. Is that true? How much of that's true? Again, we're trying to get away from, I'll be saying I'm going to separate the illusion and get to the truth. On page, or about 29 minutes in, you have a son. Yes, we have a son. And that's when George is, still, every time I see the film, I still love that moment when he goes and gets the gun and comes out and points it to Martha's head and pulls the trigger and the umbrella pops out. I still love that moment. And Martha loves it. So one of the things that's going on with this convoluted relationship with George and Martha, do they love each other? Do they hate each other? Is this the dance they do? And when he pulls the gun and pulls the umbrella pops out and everybody's terrified for a moment, and she loves it, and she says, "Give me a kiss." But then again, the sun comes up, and George says, "That's out of bounds. You're not allowed to do that." At that point for me, and that's when Honey gets sick, she has to run off to the bathroom. Martha goes with her. Just a absolutely exquisite shot. Haskell Wexler, great cinematographer. That shot, that master, that wide of George sitting on a swing silhouette. By the way, I forgot to mention, everybody knows this, of course, but black and white is just a great choice. Just suck the color out of that thing. There's no color in here, just black and white. And that shot of him sitting on the swing, smoking alone. And Martha has broken the rules. She's broken the rules. He grabs her physically, and they start to fight. Nick comes out and says, for me, if I'm trying to get my arms around how the story works and what the design of the story is, and Lehman certainly had to do that. For me, this moment when they go out, Nick comes out and joins him, and they continue to drink, of course. And George tells, this is a heartbeat moment. George is opening up, and he's saying he knew this boy in school, and he killed his mother. And then he tells a story about I'll have Bergen, and how this boy was laughed at. Once I shut up, I want to hear from you, because I don't know if it's because I've seen and I know the film and the story so well. I can't remember when I first saw it if I began to glean that he was actually talking about himself. The father dies. He tells it that the father died also. This is the brilliant thing about George. What he has done, for me anyway, what he's done is he has seduced Nick. He has seduced Nick into telling Nick's story. Truth and illusion. So Nick tells his story, and he says at some point that Honey, his wife, Honey has money. And he says, and I married her because she was pregnant. But you don't have children. Well, she blew up, but then she didn't blow up. So she wasn't pregnant. It was a panic pregnancy, and so forth and so on. So Nick, seduced by George's story about this boy, prep school, Nick tells his story, revealing himself. Let's face it, Albie's got a very dark outlook on these people and the way people interact and the games people play. And by the way, it's a long scene. They're out there a long time. Richard Burton, let's face it, I mean, out of this world. You can't take your eyes off of him. That voice, and the way Wexler's framing this scene when he goes to singles and he goes to masters occasionally, but he never stays away from Richard Burton too long, because Richard Burton can do more in a single without speaking than most people can do with a whole lot of dialogue. He's just just a great actor. This and I've never really, I love the scene, but this is where they return to the house, they get in the car, and they go out for drinks. They go out to the roadside diner, and that's when secrets start to become revealed. And Martha says, "You used to drink bourbon," and then he says, "Oh, that's that story." So now they're starting to strip away the secrets. They're starting to say, Martha at some point says, something funny in his past, naughty child who killed his mother. The gloves are coming off. It's getting darker and darker. Again, for me, this all started when Martha broke the rules and mentioned the son. There's this great moment for Honey when she yells violence, and she's kind of elated by it, and George and Martha literally, physically have an altercation. Immediately thereafter, George takes the information that Nick had given him about Honey and the money and the pregnancy and she wasn't pregnant, and he lays that out. So nothing's a secret. Everybody will use what information they have against each other in this terrible kind of fight dance that they have. So George tells the story, and now we get a feeling, and for me, and Martha at some point says, "Total war. It's war. They're going to war." Right after the fight, she leaves. She takes the car. She picks up Tony and Honey and takes them home. This is when George and what Albee does. He takes his characters and he asks them to do disparate things in terms of their dialogue and in terms of emotionally. George gets home. He realizes what's going on upstairs. He realizes his wife has gone upstairs with Tony, and he starts laughing, and then that laughter turns to tears, and he breaks down. By the way, they conveniently and brilliantly, Mike Nichols has they need Honey out of this. They put Honey in the car. They left her in the car, nearly passed out. She's in the car. So now we can work with George. We know what's going on upstairs. George announces when they come back down, when Tony and Martha come back down, he announces that the game has gone too far. And he said, and here's the news. Sonny Boy is dead. And Martha says, no. He says, yes, you broke the rules. Our son is dead. This terrible, dark, convoluted game they play, he says she's taken the game too far. And he's going to destroy the game. There are a couple in here, again, the history of their lives and what goes on. George makes some references, he's done this a couple times, to when Martha was too close to the boy. She was always too close to him, and she washing him, that she went too far, and that's why he ran away. We don't know, by the way, we don't know if the son is real or not. But in their minds, they have played him real. And he is the design around their game. The film ends after this terrible long night, one night, pretty much one location. The film ends with it's morning, the sun's coming up, and Martha and George are holding hands. Their guests have left, and they are holding hands as we fade out. Again, Albee says, I'm not going to tell you. Or that's as close as he gets to telling you. what's going on here. But for me, that's when I know that these two, that Martha and George, have a pact, that they this is their romance, this is their life, this is the way they do this. They will play this game again with someone else, or they'll play it alone together. Their courtship and their the intimacy of their relationship is built around this horrible game that they clearly find entertaining. And again, from Albie is saying he's given us a very realistic look at this terribly dysfunctional relationship, this vulgar relationship. But I think he captures it. What Albie does, and this is what makes him such a great playwright, is that even though, and I hope I don't, maybe you do, but I don't know these people, and yet I don't doubt their authenticity. It's a little bit like, you know, when you see a Willy Loman, Death of a Salesman, and you realize that Arthur Miller understood these characters. I said this before. I think it's the best way I can explain it. Arthur Miller climbs into Willy Loman's skin and becomes him as he's writing this character. It's not something that everybody can do. It's certainly a gift. Albie certainly does it with George and Martha. He's in their skin. He becomes them. He plays both characters. That's why he can write them so authentically. You've got to know, and Edward Albee was a tormented man. You've got to know this world to create it with this kind of authenticity. It's soul bearing. I think it's a great piece. And I will say that as I was rewatching it the other day, I thought of all of you, and I thought, oh my God! I think, first of all, it's maybe too long. It's a long film. It's bleak, but as screenwriters, filmmakers, storytellers, there are certain films that you must know, and plays you must know, and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? That was Salesman too. But Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is a play you have to have a knowledge of because it's such an important piece of work. So with that, what do we got? Do we have comments? Alexie, what's going on?
Yes. Good job, John. Adam, Adam,
Oh,
you're
good job,
muted.
John.
What?
Yeah. Adam was muted, so you couldn't hear his compliments.
Oh, well, thank you,
I
Adam.
said that was a fantastic job. I was like, wow,
Wow.
that was all in there.
Huh?
That was all in there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's such a great piece of work. And I know that it's not like, you know, everybody's favorite way to spend Wednesday afternoon, but damn it, you've got to know the material, and you got to respect Albie as a writer.
Yeah. It
If
was,
you get a chance, can I just, one other thing? I don't know, this is kind of different tangent, but you know, it's a little bit like the first time you read William Styron. You know, when you read Sophie's Choice, I mean, there are many books like this. I don't know why Sophie's Choice comes to mind, but Sophie's Choice for me, 100 years ago when I read it, when it first came out, Sophie's Choice, you read that book and you think, oh my God, this is something we all aspire to. He's done with Styron with Sophie's Choice. I mean, I could mention a lot of novels, but you know, they understand the breadth of these characters. I'll shut up.
This is for you, John. Why is this such an important piece? You were talking about this is one of the films that all screenwriters need to know. Why is this one so important in particular?
It's unique. It was groundbreaking. It was groundbreaking when it came out. You gotta respect Mike Nichols' guts to say, what I'll do with my first film directing gig, what I'll do is I'll take a play that's very, very bleak. I'll shoot it in black. I know I'll shoot it in black and white. Of course, I will people it with the best some of the best actors in the world. But for most people, again, I'm thinking of After the Fall. I'm thinking of a lot of Arthur Miller. I'm thinking of Shakespeare's. So you have to go there. But Albee with this play. There's certain plays, pieces of work, films that are touchstones. You don't want to be in a meeting and with film people, and somebody say, kind of like Martha and George. You don't want to be the person who says, "Who are Martha and George?" That's where you don't want to be. And
well,
again,
I'll add to that, John, is that those reference films change with time and as new generations come in and out and stuff. So I don't know if this film is that still, but it's still, I think, artistically important just on its own.
And I think I would say there's a good chance it'll get brought up because, even if it's not necessarily the most new thing, a lot of people in film are going to watch the classics and then want to executives are going to want to reference the good stuff.
And then reference Mike Nichols.
Yeah.
So in the canon of Mike Nichols films, what's his first film?
And I also think that this is better than The Graduate. That's just my opinion. I like this film a lot better than The Graduate.
Really?
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I just think it's just more interesting, and it's about
that's fair.
The characters are just so much more. I don't know. I feel like the core interaction of this film is fundamentally more true and, I guess, interesting than a guy who sleeps with his girlfriend's mom and then tries to lie about it. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this is more. This is about This is a type of person who especially at that time was everywhere in society. And we never saw behind into the closet of where the skeletons live. This was the first one that was let's look at this sort of rich white East Coast elite college educated class of person and see how they're really terrible and mean to each other. I don't know, a real relationship.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying early on. It's the truth and illusion. The illusion when George goes to teach in the morning, or when he goes to teach, he doesn't wear this. He's not as naked as he is here. But now in this evening, with the help of some booze, it's all stripped away. And these people, curious to know if people disagree with it, these people exist.
Yeah.
These people are real. And Albee had I'm still trying to address the question, why is it important? Albee had the guts to say, okay, I'm going to explore the world that they live in. I'm going to hold a mirror up to the world that they live in. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to romanticize it. I'm going to say, this is the way they live, and it's brutal.
So here's a quick cool comment from Samantha. Some inspiration for Bombbox. Did I say that right? Now I'm doubting myself. Marriage Story. That there was, the direct line.
Bobak knows this play.
Yeah.
That's safe to say.
So, quick question, John. Do you know how, is this dead on the play, or is it adapted?
It's accurate to the play. They don't. Again, it's play. So that, as I think I mentioned, that they don't go to the diner. They don't do those things. Otherwise, and the dialogue. Listen, if you're even if you're Ernest Lehman, who's a great writer, you don't want to mess with, you don't want to mess with Edward Albee's. I mean, first of all, Edward Albee's not going to let you mess with his dialogue.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I hadn't seen this, and I hadn't seen the play or read the play or anything like that. But watching it, I was like, this dialogue feels lifted from the play.
It is lifted from the play. I think I've seen the play twice.
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of play. This is, what they always say with King Lear or Hamlet, or Macbeth, you better have your chops if you're going to play George or Martha. You better know what you're doing.
So here's an interesting. Oh, Adam, did you want to say something?
Oh, no, I have a whole tangent, but you address yours first.
I was going to pull up a comment. So if you want to
bring up a comment.
So Abdullah says, this is something I was thinking about too, but whose story is it? I think Nick or even Honey may have an arc, but not our leads. Prove me wrong, please. And who's the antagonist?
For me, the protagonist is George. I don't, he wants to get to the truth. I think you could say, again, they're breaking so many rules here. But George, the reason I say that is George is the one who forgive this is too, I don't mean to sound too literal. He pulls the trigger. He's the one who says, the game is over.
We also follow him.
Huh?
We also follow him in moments of seclusion. Like when he goes to the back room to get the gun, and when he's out at the diner with we don't see a lot of Martha's secret conversations. We're in George's head the vast majority of the movie.
And when we go outside,
Martha's the antagonist.
Yeah. But and he's the one who finally, and she says, "Oh no, it's not. No," and he says, "Yes, our son is dead."
Yeah.
Rule, he is dead.
Although Nick was the one who had the most tangible objective, right? Because he wanted to sleep with Martha, and that was
yeah.
That was down in that outfit.
So there we go. But
for him, it was more about the social climbing of sleep with the president's daughter.
Yeah, I think it was just one of those cases where his objective was more tangible, but he's still not the protagonist. Even it's just breaking with 3-act structure, and that's what it is.
But it's still organized in 3 acts. The play, if you look on the wiki page, it literally has 3 act breaks with different names.
Yeah. Right.
It's just, I think that the focus of 3-act in movies is way more objective centric, and plays sometimes it's just characters talking about things without necessarily direct actions. That happens. But there's conflict. There's always conflict in this.
By the way,
meaningful
always conflict. There's no shortage of conflict in this film. And one of the reasons that we learn about Nick's ambition is also when we learn about Honey's pregnancy and why they got married. It's George getting information to use against him. Because we learned that he's actually not as pure. The illusion is I'm a teacher, I'm invested in my teaching. The fact is, we learn he has ambition. He wants to move up. He wants to run the department. That's Nick. That's the truth.
Yeah.
And I think there's a really important moment that happens early on that tells you a lot about what you need to know. George is resentful of the ass kissing. And there's that moment where she says, I'll do whatever you want. Whatever. But she says, will you light my cigarette? He says, I'll do anything, but I won't do that. It's sort of that's my line of sound. I'm not going to be your dad's little bitch. And that's why he's not the head of the history department. And then immediately after, we don't just see Nick light her cigarette. We see a close-up insert of him picking up the lighter, following it, and clicking it. The director's he's picking up, he's going to light her cigarette. And
it's Mike Nichols and Wexler, right? Just knowing how to use that camera to tell the story. By the way, on that note, just a minor beat, but it's I'll be getting to the truth. I love the business that they do with Honey's father, who was a minister, and who was kind of ripping off the congregation. It's almost throwaway, but again, one way to look at it is, oh yes, my father was a minister. He did good things. He did good. Oh no, he was actually ripping people off. He was a bit of a sham guy. We got to the truth again. Albie doesn't leave. No stones unturned. He gets them all.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to know is what their next teacher conference is going to be like when they bump up next to each other at work. Is it going to be awkward?
Be a little awkward.
Virginia Woolf too.
Hey,
there you go.
Who isn't afraid of Virginia Woolf is the name of the
Right.
sequel.
Yeah.
So, what do you think is like the biggest lesson to take from this as a screenwriter? If you were going to like emulate something or take something from it.
This is a perfect cue from my tangent that I
Please, right.
I set you up.
So you set me up. So a lot of students, people talking in the Discord and sharing their work have struggled with like understanding, how can I put subtext into my work? Like, my characters are saying what they think and feel actively, and I don't know how to not do that. I don't think there's an easy fix for that, but the fix has to do with understanding and observing how people lie, how people misrepresent themselves, how people over-represent themselves, how people want to be seen, how they don't want to be seen, and how they behave to get whatever those effects are. What's the dissonance between what their deep motivation for how they want to be in life and how they're expressing themselves, and how can you make dialogue like it's not even like necessarily, people still say what they want, but there's like a filter that goes through it of like social presentation and context. And I think that a lot of dialogue that sounds like, oh, this has no subtext hasn't gone through that filter of, okay, but who is this person in this situation and how do they want to be seen? I mean, and this film does that masterfully. There's so much subtext, so much of that in every moment. So
it reminds me of the great quote that Erin Sanger had when she came on for the first time, where she said, how often do we say what we mean and mean what we say? And then her very like top of mind example was when you ask someone like, are you going to finish that? And what you mean is, I want that.
Right. Yeah.
And that always stuck with me because it's just such a clear and simple example.
And good.
That's really good. That said it way better than I was.
I remember when she said that, I was kind of like, oh, God, okay. Which I did. Yeah, I said that. Yeah, I mean, the other thing is the character study, and this comes up frequently, people, and how do you get Richard? I'm playing a little bit off what Adam started, which I thought was really smart. Who is my character? How does he or she, how do they behave? What do they want? Who are they as human beings? This film, this play,
product placement. I was asking Adam if that was product placement. Sorry, didn't mean
coffee.
You need it. Sorry, John.
But he really gets the core of these people and knows them deeply, and a lot of that comes with, I can say this because I'm older than everybody. A lot of it comes with just living your life and meeting people and finding out who and one of the, I think one of the big perks and one of the great pleasures of being a writer is watching behavior, watching human nature, listening to what Alexie was just saying, listening to people, what they're saying, what they're really saying, what's beneath the words. And the more you understand that, the better you get, the closer you get to being able to build characters, because you know human nature, you know people better than you did perhaps when you were younger. This is a little dark, but we're talking about Martha and George, and I'm reminded of when I was and I've probably mentioned this before, this man who was kind of a mentor to me, and I was in my 20s, and some people had gone on a trip, and he and his wife had gone on a trip, and they were very wealthy people, and they were very glamorous people, and we were out to dinner, and they got into an argument. It was very Martha and George. They got into an argument. He was an alcoholic, and they got into an argument, and there must have been maybe 6 people sitting around the table, and it got ugly. And he said, "Get up, we're getting out of here," to his wife. And he walked over to me, threw the credit card down, and he said, "Pay for dinner." and he walked out. So we finished dinner. I paid for dinner, not with his credit card. And I got back to the hotel, and I got a call from one of the people, and I was the youngest member of this group who'd gone on this trip. And I got a call from one of the women who said, "You need to go down to Bruce's hotel room to make sure he's not beating her up." I was about 25 years old. And I went down to the hotel room and put my ear up to the door and listened to them fighting, arguing still. And it didn't become violent. And I stayed there for a while until finally they just ran out of energy. But when you saw them the next morning, they were this very happy, glamorous, wealthy couple, very well dressed, very well mannered. And it was shocking to me. It jolted me. And I'm telling you that because, you know, that's the richness of just life experience. That's just the richness of things happen. And as a writer, you know, I always use Bruce. Bruce is everywhere when I'm working on things because he was such a important part of my life and such a dark but brilliant guy. Anyway, I'm sorry, I went off a little tangent, but I hope it makes sense in terms of character. Watch people, listen to people. These people will come through your lives and intersect your lives. And as a writer, you're free to borrow. You know, you're free to borrow. Yeah. Anyway, does that make? I don't know if that made sense or not.
Totally, and this ties to this. This ties to a quote from Andilla. Lena Dunham said in an interview, forgive me, I'm paraphrasing. It went something like, "Who a character says they are to the world and who they actually are on the inside should contrast."
Absolutely.
And John, that's your lie, right? You talk about that every character has a lie, right?
Yeah, that's what I'll even call truth and illusion. Illusion is the guy that walks out the door. Truth is the guy who comes in and closes the door behind him and looks at himself in the mirror.
And that's the kind of thing that you might know about. You should know about all your characters, even if it never really shows up on the screen. Knowing that about them.
No, let's say should, so more people write more poor screenplays, and then there's less competition out there. Let's say that.
Well, no, I think it's counterintuitive to our purpose, but okay. Yeah, you should know. Yeah, the person that is being presented is a presentation.
That's the work actors do too, isn't it? I don't know that much about acting, but
oh yeah. I mean, Richard Burton must have been out of his mind every day getting to explore George, and Taylor certainly.
A huge breakthrough for me in being less shitty at what I was trying to do, writing, was working in theater a little bit and actually seeing serious actors, understanding how seriously actors take the script and how deeply some people analyze it. That like blows you'll never write anything like flippantly ever again once you realize like how serious like theater actors, I mean serious, like talented serious people who like have craft and have a process, like how meticulously they look at everything having to do with their character and use that as information to engage with, like that. When you realize that these are performances that you're building, you're creating a performance that changes everything. It's not just words on a page that read okay. It's like these are performance opportunities. Then actors engage with them. It's material for them to interpret. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know, with Virginia Woolf, with the play, you know, it's not done that often, but when it's done, I mentioned I saw Bill Irwin and Kathleen Turner do it. They stepped up, you know, they stepped up, and for those of you who don't know, Bill Irwin, who is a genius, but I've never Googled him, but if you Google it, it'll probably say that he's a clown. Bill Irwin is a brilliant mime, clown, physical guy, and the fact that they chose him to play George is a brilliant piece of casting, and he was so magnificent. Mm-hmm. But Adam, to your point, he's a serious artist, and took it all to the role.
Here's a question from Samantha. Any tips for adapting plays to the screen? Make sure you have the rights before you act with it.
Yeah, make sure you have the rights, or they're public domain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's tricky. What do you think, John?
Where you go?
If you can find an objective, really emphasize it. That's what I would say. Because some play adaptations don't work because of that. Like, there's no tension. This film works because there's a lot of tension, but like, I don't know. I feel like you can get away with some things on the stage.
I think an early decision you need to make is what kind of adaptation it is. Like, are you going to lift it, or are you going to really and truly adapt it? You know, like, I mean, what is it? Fleabag was adapted from her one man play, right? And it's basically just a monologue.
You haven't read it. If you haven't read the monologue, it's really good.
So that's like a true hardcore adaptation, right? Like, that's like just taking inspiration from the play and then making it into something, whereas this one is like straight up lifting it. So I think first you need to decide what you're doing, and some of that will come from how beloved is the material, and like, you know, like if people expect it to be the play, then it should probably be pretty close. And then people do the reverse too. Like Waitress was a movie, and then they adapted it into a musical, and both are fantastic.
A lot of things. Yeah. Also, John Patrick Shanley did. He wrote the play and wrote and directed the film for Doubt, and actually Doubt because Shanley goes back and forth between screenwriting and playwriting. He's primarily a playwright, really, but because he goes back and forth, he made sure he had structure. And Doubt is just a brilliant film, but he, I mean, this play in somebody else's, this film in somebody else's hands is a mess. It's a mess. I mean, this is why, Mike Nichols, you just go, okay, got it. You can do anything. There's always tension.
Yeah.
Stephen, I think Mike Nichols is not talked about enough as a director.
You think who? What?
Mike Nichols is not talked enough about as a director. I'm like always surprised that like his name doesn't appear on like the lists,
Mm-hmm.
He was so good. Oh,
have you seen the Birdcage?
Yeah,
that movie is one of my that.
It's a play.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah,
it's great. If you guys haven't seen the Birdcage, not the French original, but the adaptation with Gene Hackman and Robin Williams and Nathan Lane. Oh my God,
so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that Stephen Murray knew Bill Irwin. Not a lot of people.
What is this?
Stephen Murray says Bill Irwin's one of the most accomplished clowns in America right now, or probably ever. But not everybody will know Bill Irwin. For those of you who are in New York, if you ever get a chance to see him perform live, again, mainly what he does, he's called a clown, but he does a lot of mime. He's a very physical comedy guy. What he does with his body and his physical life is out of this world.
He was cast in Interstellar, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was when I Googled it, I was like, yeah.
That's random.
He's an actor too. Like he's done some movies. He was in another one of Mike Nichols' movies.
He was?
It was called the Rachel one. I haven't seen it.
Wait, Abdullah says, Knives Out would make it. I think
I
you're
mean,
right.
You'd have a really cool set.
Huh?
they'd have to somehow reduce the location changes, like the whole thing about her in the car chase, her going out to the location of the blackmail exchange where she finds the housekeeper's body, her back to her apartment. Like, if it was to be a play, you'd need to change it so it would just be like one location.
Like the house, right?
Right,
That could
right.
be really cool.
If it was just a house, that would totally work.
Oh, totally. Hateful Eight is an interesting one too, because they're kind of all interior. They get out a little bit.
Can I talk about how much I hated that movie? I hated
Hateful Eight. I didn't like it.
I thought it was so pretentious. First of all, there were really good pieces and some performances were great, but it was like, I rarely have the note that you have, John, which is could have lost an hour, cut 40 minutes. Like, they really should have cut an hour. And I don't really feel that way about Tarantino's long films most of the time. Most of the time it's like, wow, yeah, that was a great 2.5 hour movie. Oh,
I've got a question. I don't know who Malcolm and Marie are. Am I the only person? Is it
New film, Malcolm and Marie.
I haven't seen
I don't know.
new film Malcolm and Marie? I don't know. Is that
I'm looking
It's
it up
coming
right
out
now.
on February 5th.
really? Wow.
It's going to be on Netflix, it seems.
Okay, cool.
So there we go.
Oh, it's by
Yeah.
the
Wow.
somebody who's involved with Euphoria. The creator of Euphoria.
Oh, it has Zendaya in it.
Have you seen Euphoria?
No, I need to. I want to.
I saw a few episodes and it was really, really creative and good.
So there it is. I just sent the link in case anybody was curious about it. Freaking
No
Netflix
one's seen it yet.
auto playing. Oops. I keep meaning. There we go.
Hey, Alexie, are we going to do that? We talked about. I don't know if we can do it. Are we going to do that thing where we? Did you like when we get to the end? Did you like this film? Did you hate this film? Love this film? Like this film? Hate this film?
Yeah,
Okay,
we could do
I
that.
have an idea for how we should rank films.
How do we do that? Good, Adam.
So I think we should have a tier
Sure.
system. Like
Tears like
S-
crying.
like
bad.
letter tier, like A, B, B plus, C plus, like C minus.
Okay.
And then like truly the best film you've ever seen is like an S tier.
So that's like surpasses A.
Yeah, like S tier is like the best of the best.
Are we doing it based on how good we think it is, or how much we
Yeah,
like?
how much we liked it, our subjective experience. Like, you know.
Because like I can tell this film was good, but I didn't like it.
I would say
I knew it was good, but I could tell it was. How could you tell it was good? I'm really
I can
curious.
tell that like the performances are good, and like I'm like this is like good writing, but I don't like it. Like,
right.
just
That's very common though for a lot of people. I feel like sort of like, wow, that was really good. Is it what I'd want to watch for fun on like a Saturday? Probably not, you know. But I also don't think most people feel that way about this film who like it.
That reminds me of Letterboxd, because John, you sent me that link and then people were talking about it in the Discord too, the like social media thing where you rank films. And I was like trying to figure out, like, am I ranking these based on how much I like them or like how good I think they are?
How did you know it was a good film, Alexie? How did you know it was a good film?
Well, you told me. And Adam left.
Oh, went away. Adam said I had enough.
Sorry. I turned my camera off for a second.
No, it was like, it was also just like way too intense for me. I didn't like watching. I like intense movies, but different kinds. I didn't like this like abusive relationship constantly stressing me out the whole time. It was like, it just wasn't like a fun watch. Like I wasn't like watching it like, wow, this is fun. Like I want to watch this.
Yeah.
It was not entertainment.
So John,
No,
you tell me there's a good film you don't like.
Wait, is that for me?
It's for all of us.
Oh, what is one good film you don't like?
I don't like a lot of good films, as John knows.
Well, you don't like many films. You like very specific things.
I like very specific things.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Good film that I don't like. I know there's one. I know there are a couple. I got to think about
I was
that.
gonna say Winter's Bone just to.
Yeah, it's Winter's Bone. No, I love it. Now, I mean, I'm a convert, but I don't know.
Short Term 12.
Hey,
I thought it was really good. I just didn't personally like it. You know,
that's fine.
no, I
guess
thought it was really well done. Like I intellectually appreciated it and was like, wow, I enjoyed watching it. But like, would I say like it gave me joy? No.
It's not really a joy-giving film unless you just really like
of,
watching
like-
Brie Larson, which I do.
Fair enough, you know. Also, I think John, what we're really getting around is that like this is part of the subjective. We're getting the difference
Like
between like
taste.
analytical craft and appreciation of like art, and like, you know, personal enjoyment and like entertainment.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm probably less on the. Yeah, Bridget Jones. Yeah, I can't watch that again. I can kill myself. But I would. By the way, this probably. I would rather watch Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf than Bridget Jones any day of the week.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's your taste. You like
No.
John likes like slow burner, intense films about like broken people. You know.
Wait, Adam, easy. I don't know what that says about me. But
First of all, I really my position. I'm somewhere in between both of you. I really liked this movie, and what gave me joy about the movie was the dialogue. The weird little mean things they would say to each other was very amusing to me. Like that moment I loved and like really engaged with me was when early on when he was joking with Nick and he was like, better, best, bested. Huh? Do you see what I did there? And like Nick was like, yeah, no, I see what you did. But what was your reaction? And he says, do you want, and then Nick says to him, do you want me to like say it was funny for then you to say, no, it was sad? And then, or for me to say that's sad. And then you say, oh, I was making a joke. Like that moment for you, that's like wordplay that is just like very nourishing to my spirit. That's what I appreciate.
Oh yeah, man. That's the whole, that match game is on. Let's play.
That was the fun part of the movie for me. But yeah,
See,
I totally empathize with people who don't like things that are well crafted.
See, this is like, I didn't like No Country for Old Men. See, I kind of agree with that. Like, I like watched it and I was like, that's a good movie, but it's not like something that I want to see again. You know, I feel like for me to say I like it, I would need to be like wanting to see it again. And I wouldn't watch it again unless it was a coffee class film and I was supposed to. So
fair enough. I think.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no worries. I mean, I feel like for me, there are some films that like I really, really enjoy that are heavy, dark, and gritty and depressing. Like There Will Be Blood is an example of like that film.
I watch that film every day. I love
engages me on a very like superficial level. There Will Be Blood.
I didn't.
It's just so fun. The dialogue was so like, and the social interaction. I guess really what I'm saying is that when I like really dark, heavy things, it's always about small moments and the execution of the actors that's fun for me. Like that's where I get a lot of fun. Like, oh, the interplay between Paul Dano and Daniel Day-Lewis and like the tension at the table and like the social dynamic. It's never like the big gross stuff. It's always about like the wordplay that I really appreciate about those types of movies.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I think I'm just really picky about what I like and like what I'm comfortable like turning off and walking away from.
I think for like, I guess what the point I'm trying to get at is that there are different things that we all look for in films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of dark, heavy films with great acting that don't engage me because of the wordplay isn't there. That's what I'm trying to say. Like that's for me something that appeals specifically to me. Whereas John, you know, you might have your things that like you look for in a film, regardless of the genre, regardless of like the director. You know, there are certain types of stories, certain types of points of human interaction that you get joy out of. And Lexie, same for you. Like every person has those things.
Yeah,
and that's totally
fair.
separate from
Yeah.
John, you should watch Short Term 12 and see if you agree with me or Adam.
John would agree with me.
I might do that.
John won't like it.
I need to add this.
Taboo, but you know the film. One of the films that I go to, and I know it's taboo. I can't even talk about it, but I'm going to talk about the film that I just absolutely love, and we're not going to see it in here because of all the bad press, but you might do that, is Last Tango in Paris. What I like is
I haven't seen it.
Huh?
I didn't
haven't
love
seen
it.
Oh God, it's so good. But I want to know. I want to watch a character go to the edge. That's what I want to see you go to the edge. And by the way, I love this comment in here. Where was it? It was Daniela. Why was I able to watch Titanic 6 times in the theater? I don't know. That is, you made my day. How you could do that? I no. I mean, my God, that is funny.
I've never seen Titanic.
Huh?
What?
I've never seen Titanic.
Wow.
Oh,
you missed me. Totally missed me.
That you haven't? That's bad.
Yeah, no. That's really bad. I should see it. I actually haven't seen many David Cameron movies. I never saw Avatar.
Avatar's pretty good.
It was interesting. It was like I found the setting to be very, very like I was very impressed by.
That's a funny comment, though. I
the
love
setting. What, the Titanic?
Yeah, that's how I can't be able to unpack that about myself. That's fun.
Have you seen anything in theaters more than once?
Me?
Me?
Yeah, both of you.
Sure. Oh God, yes.
Like what?
A lot of movies.
I mean,
Really?
Huh?
I saw There Will Be Blood twice in theaters.
There Will Be Blood.
2007.
I mean,
And actually,
also
I saw it once, and then I saw it the next day.
Oof! Wow.
Yeah. It's because I was so shocked at it. I had never seen anything like that before, and this was like when I was getting into films for the first time, and I didn't understand it, and I wanted to watch it again because I wanted to understand it, and I didn't even a second time. But like I didn't know how it worked. Like most movies, I understood. I don't know. I'm not saying that movie's great for everybody. I know people who I respect a lot who hated that movie. So
I'm just curious.
I was in college, and there was one film class. There was only one film class, and I took that film class. And so the professor said, "Okay, we're screening. You can go to Wednesday or Thursday afternoon at the only cinema, which is uptown, the only cinema in town, and they're screening it for you at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Wednesday or Thursday, you have to go so we can talk about it." So, and he says French and it's subtitles. So everybody's groaning. Oh my God. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go on Wednesday and get this over with because it's going to be so terrible. So I go to the film and it's, subtitles and 4 people in the theater and whatever. I watch it and I was blown away. And I was like, oh wait, Adam reminded me when he said, I said, I've never seen this, but I don't know what happened. And I went back the next day. It only played two times. I went back to back both days, and that film was Last Tango in Paris.
Huh.
Wow. Oh, Parasite. I had to see that again after I saw it in theaters. I saw it in theaters, and I was like, oh my God. I've always said it, and I said it back last coffee class. I said, oh my God, Americans don't know how to direct movies. That was the feeling I had when I watched that. That's not necessarily true. That's hyperbole. But like, it was just so well considered, and so many American films are so arbitrary.
You know what?
So many layers.
So I stopped seeing things I haven't seen too many things in theaters because, in Kentucky, I could go to the dollar theater and pay literally $1, or go to the other theater and pay literally $4 for a ticket. And that was for like new stuff. That I came to New York and it was like $20. And I was like, oh no, absolutely not. And so I basically didn't see anything in theaters except for the free stuff through NYU when I was in New York. It was just, I couldn't justify paying 5 times, 5 to 20 times.
Do you factor into the price of the ticket the muffin that you apparently have to take?
Look, that was dining dollars. That was not real money.
$18 or $20 movie, right?
It was, but those were free movies because that was the class.
So it's the $3. You really got it for $3. Okay,
and it was dining dollars. So I got it from the little Pete's at Upstein. So now you know.
Oh, I have another very guilty pleasure.
Samantha's here.
Oh, I forgot to mention, I saw Force Awakens in the morning when it came out. and then I saw it again in the evening. That was the only time I've ever done that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, not, in retrospect, I wasn't like even. I'm not even that big of a fan of that movie necessarily, but it was fun. Blockbusters are fun, guys.
I've only ever seen movies more than once if I like go to see them with someone else. Like I don't go myself.
Samantha saw School of Rock.
Yeah,
that's a great movie.
Until they removed it. Wait, until they removed the film, or you? Yeah,
no, you need other.
No illusion, Samantha. We want truth, not illusion. Did they remove you from the theater or the film? We need to know that. I have a feeling it was Samantha.
It was probably. They probably said this isn't healthy. This isn't good.
Are we not doing our work? Should we? I mean, again, this film for me, it's character, a lot of character, and I hope, you know, as I was watching the other day, as I probably already said, I was worried that everybody would hate it because I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. It's not entertainment. It's
good.
I hope it worked.
Actually, John, I think doing films like this is actually important because I am convinced that you won't grow as a writer or filmmaker if you don't watch things that you don't want to watch and don't like. Like, it's really important to go outside of your comfort zone and watch things that that you would never seek out. So, because you never know, like, even if you intensely dislike this movie, there could be like one thought bubble that this movie inspired that could help your writing. Like one reference, one little moment. Like, I don't know. I just think that people.
I think so. That's
linearly.
Yeah, and Adam, that was the point that I was trying to make when we started, is that I've picked out some films, and my choices coming up. I've got a doc film. I've got a film that's very convoluted, breaks all kinds of rules, because I really think it's important that you start looking outside the box a little bit and you know, becoming more informed about choices that you can make. As a storyteller, screenwriter, filmmaker, that are not, you know, right on the money. And so I'm going to continue. Everybody's going to grimace when I say this. I'm going to continue to pick some films that are a little bit outside the box.
Here's a good question for you, John, from Veronica. Does Professor John like any movies that are pure entertainment, quote unquote?
I do. I say, did you hear the? So, Veronica, did you hear the hesitation in my voice? I'm trying to think of one.
Hangover.
You know, I do. Hangover. Yeah, and by the way, Superbad. I love Superbad. I love those films because they people think they're just bawdy, stupid comedies when in fact they're structurally correct, and they've hidden the structure's hidden underneath the. Yeah.
That was like Mean Girls.
Listen, I like merry-go-rounds, and no, that's not true actually.
Ugh, The Room.
You had me at
Have you seen it, Alexie?
The Room?
Yeah.
No.
It's very funny.
Ugh.
Like it's like really funny. It's really actually funny. Not intentionally so, but it is.
I don't like watching things that are unintentionally funny. That makes me so
Out
uncomfortable.
there.
Bridesmaids was funny. You're right.
Bridesmaids was amazing. I freaking love Bridesmaids. I'm gonna add that to my list.
That's a funny movie.
Do it.
I am adding that right now.
Look at the contrast.
Yeah, it's funny to look at.
Contrast is good.
For making.
I think it's good.
We don't have enough straight comedies on here. I think having one or two might be beneficial.
Yeah.
The problem is they just tend not to age very well. I think Bridesmaids is aged okay. I haven't seen it in a long time.
You know, I'm gonna add that to my list.
Wait, Paper Moon. Oh my God.
Yeah, Paper Moon is really good.
I don't know what that is.
Paper Moon.
Ryan O'Neal, Peter Bogdanovich, right?
Bogdanovich and Taylor won an Oscar. She was 8 years old.
Really, really good movie.
Wow, that man has good hair.
He is a really, really smart. You know, when Bogdanovich, we should also see Last Picture Show. When Bogdanovich was good. Yeah, I mean,
oh my God! When he was good, you have to You have to put that asterisk.
Paper Moon, Last Picture Show. He did some great stuff.
And then,
yeah, he's
an
odd character. He's such an odd guy.
Did you see that horrible movie Wes Anderson produced that he directed with this all-star cast called "She's Gotta Have It" or something? No, that's not it.
She's Gotta Have It. She's Gotta Have It.
No, that's not it. No,
now what is it?
It came out with Owen Wilson's in it. Came out just a few years ago. It's a horrible movie.
I don't know.
Horrible movie.
You know, we should go to reveal what next time is.
Before you, Adam, are you looking it up? Because I think
she's funny that way.
Or she's funny. I don't. That's not the one.
Oh my god, terrible movie. I saw that in theaters.
Could we do a Charlie Chaplin film? That's a great idea.
Oh yeah. Modern Times is a good one.
Yeah, Mean Girls is good. These are all.
I want to do Mean Girls. I tried to make that a reference film in the feature class.
It's just the script isn't as funny as the movie.
No, and that was the issue.
Yeah, but the movie's very good.
You know, we should see Airplane.
Airplane? I could add it to your list, John.
Airplane's not that funny though.
It's not.
It hasn't aged that well. I watched some clips from it and I was like,
oh,
okay.
I'd rather do something. Sorry, no, actually, we should do it for that reason.
Here, when it came out,
Harsha.
Isle of Dogs. I don't know what that is.
That's the newer Wes Anderson film with the stop motion dogs.
Oh,
it's really good.
Because
Anderson.
No, his apology for.
Yeah.
You know, I love dogs.
Yeah.
I love dogs. Get it?
Oh, I get it. Okay, it took me a while, didn't it? Okay.
We should reveal what we're doing next time, which is.
Heat of the Night is a great film too. What are we doing? Yeah, what are we doing next time?
The Farewell.
Hey, very good movie.
Which is a great movie. With Awkwafina.
Very good movie.
It was great, and I'm very excited about this one.
And you're doing it.
I am doing it. Oh, John, we have to give a. Can we even do a tentpole for this film?
I don't know. I'll try. I mean, I've got notes on it.
We can skip it.
I'll send those.
Yeah, maybe.
John.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Are we going to try to? Do we not have the proper things in place to? Do you like this film? Did you hate this film?
Let's do it.
I like Adam's grading system.
Do you guys want to do that?
Where we grade it?
Well, maybe we're tempting fate here. But
No. So Alexie, for you, what
C.
tier? C? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. Did we agree on personal preference or like?
That's my personal preference.
All right. But how good did you think the film was, like objectively?
Oh wait, what are we voting on? Are we voting on? Did we like the film? What are we voting on?
Both. I think it was a C in terms of my Alexie ranking. I think it was a B+ in terms of good.
All right, John. What about you?
Oh, A, no way.
Yeah, I'm not. I'd say in terms of my personal enjoyment, I'd probably put an A-. I would give this an A+ in terms of like how well crafted and well considered it is. I think, and the reason why for that, the thing that set it over the edge for me is the dialogue, just the choice of language, the nuance of it. It is actually very rare to like watch highly acerbic, witty people trying to destroy each other.
Yeah,
like that's very rare actually. Usually when you have witty, intelligent, educated people like interacting with each other with like a high like language capacity, it's like low stakes, like, oh, we're hanging out, whatever, or we're dating or something. It's rarely like having people deconstruct and analyze an inside joke during their dark night of the soul. Like that's interesting. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
God.
Hey, lots of A's. Look at that.
Winning A's here. I'm shocked. I'm so thrilled.
Hey, vindication, John.
Everybody's sucking up to John.
Oh,
I actually gave it a higher rating than John did. I gave it an A+.
Yeah, I give 4 out of 5 Elizabeth
Taylor husbands.
Funny. Oh, you got me. Okay.
Oh, that's good.
It was strange for her to play. It was strange for her to play a character who's way older than she was.
Yeah.
but she was in her 30s when she made this, right?
Oh, here we go. More votes.
Danielle, you gave it a B. Danielle,
Minus.
you gave it a B, but also we have your what's the James Cameron film that you like so much? So it's yeah, so Danielle, I'm sorry.
Are you minimizing the importance of
a little bit with that Titanic information?
And just so people understand my point of view on previous films, I just want to say that there are only 3 S tiers that we have done out of our 40 films for me. And that was Fellowship of the Ring, Parasite, and Spirited Away. Those are the 3 films we've done of everything that I thought were S tiers, which shows how rare I would want to in the future give out S tiers.
You know, I have like personal S tiers that I don't necessarily think are like actually S tier films, right?
Right.
Like Short Term 12. I don't actually think that's an S tier film, but personally, it will always be S tier for me.
That's interesting.
You know,
people. I think this is interesting, Alexie. This is why having you in this trio brings a lot more flavor and depth than if it was just me and like if it was just like a mini John, it wouldn't be as interesting. You know, we want somebody.
We have somebody here with more taste.
If it was just Adam and I, we wouldn't have anybody else in the room. It just
wouldn't have anyone to be wrong if I wasn't here, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the guy and Danielle, who's very funny. Yeah, don't listen to me.
So, John, would you say Bridget Jones was a D for you?
I can't watch Bridget.
That's a D. It's a D. It's a D.
Yeah, I just can't. I can't. Yeah,
that's great. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to give it a C. But
so
then
you think that it's the same as I think Virginia Woolf?
What?
So you think Bridget Jones is at the same level that I think Virginia Woolf is?
Think about that for a second. Think about it.
So my personal goal is to have a film that I've chosen be below a C for both of you.
Oh God!
Like that's a personal goal for me, to get you to both dislike a movie that I really like the same level. I don't know if I can achieve that, but that's a personal goal.
I didn't like Fellowship of the Ring that much.
We should
do Altman.
Player.
We should do an Altman movie.
The player.
Yeah.
You don't like The Player?
Gosford Park. No, we can't do Gosford Park. We just did Knives Out. Nashville.
What's the no way? Nashville's great, but I mean, you know, Altman was somebody who really messed around with it. I mean, he did a lot of improv.
He hated writers. He did not respect screenwriters at all. In fact, the screenplay might have well been a coaster.
Yeah.
For him, like he was like, okay, yeah, we got the characters, the basic situation. I'm going to improvise all of the dialogue and the basic scenario.
Yeah,
that's great. It's interesting, you know.
Oh man,
I love that. I think that's so interesting.
Veronica, I don't know where the protagonist. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think to get back to your serious question, I don't know. I think George is the protagonist. George is the ringmaster of the film, Virginia. But
you said his objective is
to win the game. I would argue that when we get debate, that his goal is to win the game, and he doesn't win the game. He stops the game.
Right. And because so many people are asking, I will answer Samantha's question. Can I rank the Lord of the Rings trilogy? I'll say
so many people are asking.
Fellowship of the Ring is S tier. Two Towers is A-, and Return of the King is S tier. And the Hobbit films are all Ds. They're terrible.
Wow.
Okay, Unexpected Journeys maybe a C+. I don't know.
I fell asleep watching The Hobbit, so
they're not good movies. It's like it's such a studio move to be like, oh, let's take this light children's book and make a 3-movie epic trilogy out of it. Like there just wasn't enough story. They had to make shit up, and that just like Lord of the Rings is 3 books. That makes sense. 3 movies.
Did you know that in 5th grade I insisted that I belonged in the most advanced reading group, even though I didn't? And the assignment was The Hobbit, and I cried every single night before I read it because I hated it so much.
But you read it, didn't you?
No, I didn't get through it. I did my very, very best, and I just.
How old were you?
I was in 5th grade.
That's so Alexie. Here's Alexie's headstone. I did my very, very best.
You know, I think that's my Twitter bio. Is
We would have not gotten along in 5th grade. That is definitely true.
no, you and I would not have gotten along until like the past 2 years, I think.
Probably.
Or 6 weeks.
Oh,
Yeah, so we got some fun films coming up. I saw something in here. I don't know. Moonlight. I've got a question. All right, here's a question, and I'm going to take Tracy Flick. Yeah, I had a class earlier today, an NYU class, and it was interesting. I brought in a student, former student, and who has created a web series, and
yeah.
And we played an episode from her web series. Adam's grimacing.
No. The copy got cold.
Oh,
I thought that was your Ember.
From her web series.
No. So this is cold, and this I need to wait till it brings up the temperature because this cup is a self-heating cup.
What?
Yeah, this cup is has electronic heating in the base, and it keeps liquid warm for up to an hour and a half. But the coffee was still cold there. And yeah, sorry. Continue.
Anyway, web series, would that be interesting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why
not?
We should definitely do a web series.
And we could play an episode. And actually, as she talked about, she wrote it, directed, and stars in it.
Wow.
And they had to do it, as webisodes are, generally speaking, on a budget. It's kind of an interesting way to go one week, isn't it?
Is this the therapy one?
Huh?
Is this the one about the therapy?
It's not group. No, it's not group. No. But that's a good one, too.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Okay.
Cool. 1 minute left.
Damn Titanic, shame you. No, don't.
Celine, honestly, that's fair.
Oh, Ben-Hur, 1959. Oh, God, Ben-Hur. Just the chariot race alone. You can watch that chariot race over and over and over.
Danielle, if it makes you feel better, in 1999, when Phantom Menace came out, I demanded to see it 6 times. So,
oh my God.
And that's a terrible movie. That's not a good movie.
Is that what you said?
Not.
How old were you?
You must have been like a child.
I was a child.
A baby child.
Brat is what
I was a little brat. No, I was.
Exactly what you were.
What happened is that all the adults I was spending time with, like my grandparents, I went down to the summer to see my grandparents, and I forced them to take me to the movie. And then I went to I was spending time with our family friend, and I forced them to take me to the movie. I kept forcing the adults around me to take me to the movie because my parents were like, "Okay, 3 times is enough."
Jesus,
a monster.
Were you 5?
Terrible kid.
Yeah,
terrible kid.
Yeah, when you're only
it explains a lot. It explains a lot.
Yeah, I guess it's the only child kicking in.
Yeah, that's what it is. But it's not a good movie. Has not aged well. I'm sure Titanic is a better movie. So.
We all have our own guilty pleasures. Right.
That's
Spartacus. Was directed by
Stanley
Kubrick. Ben-Hur, Spartacus. Yeah, I love war. I love all of that. I love war.
We need to do a Stanley Kubrick movie.
Huh?
We need to do a Stanley Kubrick movie.
We've got to do it. We can't do Lolita, I guess. We can't. We can.
No. Dr. Strangelove. Dr. Strangelove.
Dr. Strangelove.
That's an interesting movie.
It is. Full Metal Jacket also because he made 2 films in one.
Yeah, I don't really like that. I didn't really like it. It was
I saw Full Metal Jacket. That was fun. A Clockwork Orange made me not trust him.
Well, it's an adaptation of the book, and it was very violent. And oh my God, when it came out in England, it was banned for inciting riots and young angry men. It was like a whole thing. Yeah, like 1973, whenever it came out.
And now we have angry people inciting riots here.
And then there's 2001: Space Odyssey.
Those I got political. Strangelove for sure. Strangelove, yeah. Fighting in the war room.
Fighting. Also, Peter Sellers plays 4 different characters. I mean, do you know what it's about, Alexie?
Wait, which one?
Dr. Strangelove.
No.
It's a comedy about the nuclear apocalypse.
Jesus.
Yeah, and it's about like the comedy of errors about all the safeguards, quote unquote, that are preventing us from the Cold War from breaking out.
Yeah.
And it's such a brutal satire of like all the generals, the Russians, the president. It's great. It's really funny.
Oh, 2001, The Space Odyssey was why I hated him.
2001, they're all great. Pan's Lampus.
I hated 2001. I had to analyze that in an animation class. Like it was like storyboarding. So we were like looking at the storyboards. And I was like, that was like my personal F.
There's so many good films ever. This was week 40. We're we still got films to watch and discuss.
Oh, John, we have so many films that we have not watched on this show. It's like there's so
I know.
many.
I put together a list of everything we need thumbnails for, and I'm just like, that's a lot of movies.
You got my new ones, my new list, right?
I did.
All right. Okay. Well,
next time,
Edward Albee.
Next time, The Farewell.
I'm really excited. Farewell's great.
Alexie, killing it.
It's gonna
All
be
right, guys.
fun.
Adios.
All right, bye, everybody.
Stay safe. Be well.